Hello and welcome back to another episode of Excel Statistics. Today we are going to be talking about using the descriptive statistics portion of the data analysis ToolPak. As you can see, I already have a set of data loaded into my worksheet. Um, Today's data is the Senate Democrats percent in the US. This is from the year 2014 all the way back to 1900, so a pretty substantial sized data set. Excel has a bunch of different formulas in here to help you calculate statistical data such as mean, median, mode, standard deviation, etc. Quite a few of them. And a lot of times you're going to need to use more than one of those, and so it's often easier to use our descriptive statistics here and to do them all at once. So if we click on our data ribbon, we can go over to where it says data analysis, which we installed in our last video. Comes up here and we see a bunch of different options. We're going to click here on our descriptive statistics and click OK. Now we have a bunch of different options here, so we're going to start at the very top, our input range. This is going to be the data that we want to do our analysis on. So you can either click this pop-out button or just click here in the box. We'll use the pop-out. And we're going to select our data. So I've got two columns of data. The column on the left says time, and that's just a label. We don't need to analyze the label, we only need to analyze our data. We're going to click there, and I'm just going to click and drag all the way down to the bottom and get all that highlighted, and click my pop-out button again. Next, it asks how our data is grouped, and mine is indeed grouped by column, so I'm going to leave that. And you will notice I did select the label in the top row. I'll go all the way up here to column B, row 1, down to B59. And so I'm going to check this box for labels in the first row, and you'll see how handy that is later. Next, it asks us where do we want to put our data. We can do an output range, so we can put it anywhere we like specifically. We can put a new worksheet, or we can put an entirely new workbook. I tend to like putting the output range so that I can keep the analysis here right beside the data that I'm working with. And also notice once you click that, you do have to click over here in this box to be able to select that. So I'm going to click right here at D1 next to my labels and be able to get my output to start there. It will fill in the columns and rows next to it as needed. And next, I like to use my summary statistics and the confidence level for the mean as the output that I'm looking for. Once we have all those selected, we can OK. Roll back up to the top, and then just widen this out a little bit so I can see my labels. Notice since I selected my labels at the top of my data, and I told it I selected my labels, that my output is now labeled with that same thing, so I know which one goes to which. We could do the same thing with multiple columns of data all at once, and each one will be labeled individually. And so notice here, unfortunately, it does not show up in formulas, so you can't change the data and have it work properly. But it does give you kind of a fixed output and a good quick way to get all of this data at once. So we've got our mean, our standard error, our median, our mode, our standard deviation, sample variance, kurtosis, skewness, range, minimum, maximum, sum, count, and since we click the confidence level button, we get our confidence level at 95%. What we can see here is that the mean percentage of Senate Democrats in the US was 52.46793. Also notice if you click way up here at the top in our formula bar, that number goes on for quite a bit longer. If we were to narrow this column, notice that automatically rounds, but it does not change the actual number stored by Excel. Excel will adjust that to the width of the column. Also, one other thing I like to mention is this count function. This count tells you how many rows of data were analyzed here. This is telling us 58, and if I scroll down, I see I had row 59 minus one label, so I had 58 rows of data. That's always good to double check to make sure you got the right number of data items in your selection. Should you have accidentally checked the labels box previously, but you forgot to actually select the labels there, you would see this row would have said 44 as first row. And let's go ahead and do that, shall we? So if we click back on data analysis again, descriptive statistics, and this time I'm going to just change this real quick to 2. And I'm going to move my output over here to G. change there, that here. And we're going to do this output again. Notice now that my label says 44 and my count says 57. So this is a good way to double check to make sure you did your work right. We know that this one is correct, and we can do any other calculations we need to off of this data. That's it for this video. Hopefully you found it helpful.